Hello, math students. Welcome back to Module 4, Expressions and Equations, and this is Lesson 24, and it is called From Equations to Inequalities. The goal for today we will see how to turn an equation into an inequality by changing the requirements of the solution. That sounds a little bit crazy. So basically, you're just making an equation into an inequality by changing what you're looking for. The question that I want you to think about in this lesson is, has there ever been a time in math when a scenario can have more than one answer? And then you have to be able to represent it. So it says, how could we represent it? So we'll probably be able to answer that pretty clearly in just a few minutes. Okay, check this out. In a math class, can more than one student get an A on a test? Yes. There are 26 students in the class. The number of D's or F's was exactly the same. 12 students earned a B, and half of the students who earned a B got a C. One student got a D, and the rest got an A. How many students got an A on the test? Okay, well, so you're already getting a little bit of insight to the very first question about can there be more than one student who gets an A, and hopefully in your mind now you're thinking yes. But let's read it again for quantities this time. So there are 26 students in the class, very important. The number of D's or F's was exactly the same. So that means they're equal. So D's and F's are equal. 12 students earned a B, and half of the students who earned a B earned a C. One student got a D, and the rest get an A. How many students got an A on a test? Okay, so we found the quantities, right? 26 in the class, D and F's are equal, 12 students got a B, half of 12 is who got a C, one student got a D, and the rest got an A. How many students got an A? So what we're looking for in this story is we want to be able to identify students who got an A on the test. Okay, so the first thing that it says to do is write an equation to figure out the number of students who earned an A. The second thing that it says, use a tape diagram to find the solution. Okay, write an equation to figure out the number of students who earned an A. Well, I know that in total there are 26 students, so I'm going to put equals 26 because that's how many total kids there are. So now it says the number of D's or F's was exactly the same. Okay, then we know that 12 students earned a B, so we already know what B is. So over here, I'm going to list out what we know. We know that D's and F's are equal. We know that a B was earned by 12 kids. I know that half of the students who earned a B equals a C, so I know that C is half of B. And then I know that one student got a D, so D equals 1, and then we know that the rest of the kids in the class earned A's, but we don't know what that is yet, so that's what we're trying to figure out. So if we know that there are 26 students in the class, then we know that there are 2 of those because D's are equal to F, so it would have to be the same amount is earned of D's and F's, and it says right here that one student got a D, so I already know that one student got a D, so there has to be one student who got an F. So that's pretty simple. So I'm going to do blank plus blank to represent the D's and the F's. So this would be the D, and this would be the F, and they both equal 1 because they're exactly the same, it said. And then it says that C is the same as half of B, and B is 12. So then I'm going to say that if B is 12, then half of B would be 6, and those represent the C's, right? So now I have the B's known, I have the C's known, I have the D's known, and I have the F's known. So now all I have to figure out what is left is I have to figure out what would be the A's. And so because we don't know what the A's are, Let's just use A as our variable. So now it says, write an equation to figure out the number of students who earned an A. So we can have an equation because we just built it. So 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 12 is 14, plus 6 is 20, plus something equals 26. So now I have an easier equation to understand, and so we figured out 12, 13, 14, 20. So now I know that 20 plus A is supposed to equal 26, and now I can use a tape diagram to help us figure that out because, again, I know that the total is 26 right here because that's how many kids are in the class, and I know that 20 of them are all of the B's, C's, D's, and F's, and then we're trying to figure out what A would be, and there's my tape. So what number plus 20 equals 26? And now I know that A has to equal 6 because 20 plus 6 equals 26. Okay? So that wasn't too difficult. As long as you can organize your information, that seems to be the biggest thing that kids struggle with, is trying to organize it. So now the next question that it asks us to do is, how many students actually pass the test? Well, I guess it depends on what your school thinks is passing, but I'm going to tell you for this problem that in order to pass, you have to have a C, a B, or an A. So it says right here, how many students passed the test? Write in an equation to show how many students passed. And so if we know it's the A's, the B's, and the C's, then we need to say the equation would be 6 plus 12 plus 6 equals passed, right? So that's how we would write an equation for that one. All right, and now it says underneath that, write an inequality to show how many students passed. So remember that less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than equal to help represent your inequalities. So since we have a whole bunch of kids together, then we could say that the number of kids passed is greater than or equal to, I would say 12 plus 12 is 24. So I would say greater than or equal to 24 because we have 6 A's, we have 6 C's, and we have 12 B's. And so in order to write it as an inequality for the kids who passed, because remember, passed means A's, B's, and C's, we would know that it would be passed is greater than or equal to 24 because that's how many kids passed the test. Okay? So that's how you're going to take an equation and turn it into an inequality because the very first question said, can you have more than one answer to a specific question in math? And the answer would be yes. Okay, so our goal for today. Today we will see how to turn an equation into an inequality by changing the requirements of a solution. The question that I asked you to think about was, has there ever been a time in math when a scenario could have more than one answer? And we just proved it by talking about who passed the test. How can we represent it? The way we represent it is by including the use of inequalities, and you need to remember that inequalities are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. And we studied those earlier on in the module, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, that's all I have for you in this lesson. Talk to you soon. Bye.